Man, I feel like it's just it's almost like a waiting game, you know, because everything does get better, and when you're in the thick of the dark moment, like the lies infiltrate your mind, thinking that this is how life is gonna be. But if you just hold on and get to the other side and wait and work on getting out and work on talking to people, like that's one of the biggest things to me is like communicating and getting all of your thoughts out. And it's like if you keep everything that you're going through in the black hole, then it's going to grow bigger and your imagination is going to make it like become this huge monster. But if you talk about it, it releases it and brings it into the light. And that's where healing comes in, because we have brothers, we have sisters, we have a lot of people that care. And so we have to remember we're never alone, you know?
Everything is temporary. Everything. Be it the good, be it the bad, it's all temporary. So when you're in the bad, know it's going to get better. When you're in the good, be grateful that the good is there at that point, because it's going to go away and it's going to turn into something else. So all things are temporary. I know that I have dealt with depression, suicidal ideation, drugs, alcohol. That's how I was coping with those feelings back in the day. And to be on the other side of it, I mean, even as recently as like, I don't know, maybe August of 2020, I think it was, during the pandemic, you know, all of us around the world were going through tough times. And I found myself going through a breakup at that point as well. Didn't realize that I had some attachment issues that I got to look at that point. But as Brian said, those cracks make you stronger. And yeah, man, I spent 3 days on the couch just trying to go for it, trying to get the guts. And that's me from Five Finger Death Punch. We got a new album out today. Things are awesome. And those demons can still get into the lives and the heads of anyone. It doesn't matter what walk of life, what you do for a living, how much money you got, how little one you got. It does not matter. It's all here. And after that, getting back into sobriety and whatnot, then really diving into stoicism. There's one thing that stuck with me quite a bit, was that there is no good, there is no bad. It only becomes either once it gets in your head. So it's all perspective. If you can figure out a way to train your brain to flip and have different perspectives and get out of it. I found that when I was going through my thing in 2020, I had forgotten about all the love that surrounded me, because I was focused on the one person that wasn't giving me the love that I thought I wanted from that person at that point. And now, having gotten away and worked through those stressors and cracks in the veneer, I am a much stronger person today. And, you know, you were talking about obligation. This is a perfect example for, you know, I'm big, strong, tough dude. Don't look like I would be sad at all. But I'm also an emotional artist as well. That's where the art comes from. So it's nice to have that outlet for to release the pressure of the valves and get that stuff out. But with the platform that we have and the support that we have with the fans, I know that it's bigger than music. It's bigger than hard rock. It's bigger than heavy metal. There's a message to be shared, and that's that things always get better, just like Mr. Welch said there. There was a couple of instrumental moments. One was I was liking weird shit on Twitter at that point, and my ex-wife, who I just made amends with probably a month before that as part of the step work that I do, step 9, making amends. I just made amends with my ex-wife, and we were becoming friends again, and she saw me liking stuff on Twitter. So friends paying attention, even just a weird liked tweets, just being aware, oh, something's off. And she reached out to my friend Greg, who's the guy who drove me to rehab originally. I was like, have you talked to Chris in a while? I said, no, I haven't talked to him today. What's going on? She goes, reach out. And yeah, that was the deepest, darkest part of the depression for me during the pandemic, post-breakup. And he came over, just talked to me for maybe 10 minutes. Didn't take any time at all. He was pretty close, got in his truck, came right over. And that was just enough for me to, just enough time to allow the pause between stimulus and reaction. Greg coming over, my ex-wife Natalie reaching out to me, that gave me the pause where, okay, it's not that bad. What's going on? And that's when I really started digging deep and doing the introspection and really just working on the inside. You know, all of this other stuff is symptoms of something going on the inside.
Wow.
Covering up, not being able to deal with this stuff.
Mm.
All that's just symptoms of that. So I had to dig deep, do a lot of introspection, and as bad as the pandemic was, I found the silver lining in that, and really did some deep work, some shadow work. Got emotionally, spiritually, physically, mentally fit over the break, and happy to be here to be able to share my story with
Yeah,
all you
man.
guys going through the same thing as well. You know, we love the fans. We love each one of you guys in this room, and you are not alone.
Yes,
Trust me
Yeah.
sir.
on that.
So, Chris, does that go with what I was saying earlier about how you isolate and your brain goes in overtime with negative stuff, and then it builds it bigger than it really is? Is that like a statement
Definitely.
that's true? That it builds
Yeah.
the right on. And Clayton, you've been through that. You know that well. And
Yeah,
so,
man. I mean, just hearing Chris share that, I get it because I think the devil wants to take us to a place of isolation because
Mm.
isolation equates with annihilation. And there's strength in numbers, so if he can get you by yourself, then the voices get louder, the discouragement is louder. It's hard to break out of that trap of all the negativity that can roll around in your head. And then, I think all four of us share something in common where we're creatives, and so with being a creative, your imagination is probably at a different level than most individuals, and with that can take you down good paths, or it can take you down really dark paths at the same time. So it's something that you have to harness, and when you're away from people and you're not able to lock shields with people and do life with people, or you feel like you need to be away from everything and everyone, that can be dangerous too. And so, man, I feel for you, Chris, because I think that the pandemic, as many people died from the virus, think of all the people who died
Mm.
because they were fighting the darkness all by themselves and they didn't have anybody, and
Yeah,
that's pretty sad to think about, man.
And
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
like people do become obsessed with the idea that they have nobody.
yeah,
Calm yourself,
Mm.
breathe. When you're thinking that there is somebody there, that if you do something that is permanent, it's going to fuck up their mental space, their head space, because they love you. There's at least one out there. You might have to like get rid of the obsession of all the dark thoughts to be able to kind of like kick back and see that, but you're never completely alone. Never.
No.
Anybody on this earth, you are not completely alone. You may not have all the friends that you want, but you got the
Right.
ones that you need.
Yeah. I mean, the people respond, you know what I mean? But the powers that be, that you have to fit a certain kind of cookie cutter format. You know what I mean? Like, there's only certain bands that will say stuff, but a lot of times that might not be the friendly thing to say, which fits a format. You know what I mean? That sells music or sells records. But it is those artists, like these guys here that are true to themselves, that we care about what we say. You know what I mean? I mean, we've all been censored in so many shapes, ways, forms. But like you said, we are living I think in a day where people are recognizing that they need to talk about these things, even if it is scary, or maybe not as conservative, or it doesn't necessarily agree with or is popular with what's going on. But we need to talk about these things. So I think we've done a lot of songs that are probably more relevant even today, maybe 20 years later. But people are finally starting to talk about things like suicide and depression and you know whatever, pornography. You know what I mean? Mental health, child abuse. There's a lot of stuff that people are finally saying we need to talk about these things and bring it to the forefront. I think, I kind of caught on to faith at an early age, just in my circumstances and stuff. So, I don't have the same stories as Brian and Chris. I mean, I didn't. I think they were just living their life, and they fell upon their circumstances. You know what I mean? And with rock and roll comes a lot of opportunities to put yourself in some dark places. But these are choices that we make. So I'm by far perfect, and I've made plenty of mistakes. But I think just having a mentality that that I do care what happens to people. I do want the positive things in life. I've always kind of had that at the forefront of my mind. Like, even if I'm gonna push the edge a little bit, I'm not gonna go overboard. You know what I mean? Like, I was always just aware of that kind of stuff. And it's just maybe I just had some tools on my belt that said, hey man, don't cross this line, or don't go down this road. You know what I mean? Because it's gonna lead here or there. But also experience takes us down those roads as well. So I've just I've always kind of been on my guard, especially with this world. But like Chris said, I think of things in the eternal, and Chris said, this life is temporary. And to me, I believe that this life is temporary. So my heart and my mind focuses on the eternal, and so we enjoy everything that we can out of this world and today. But we also know that this life is temporary.
Chris, what kind of things are you doing? Like, I forget, did you write a book about your journey? I know you've been sharing it a lot.
Yeah, I haven't written the book just yet, but during the pandemic, when I was going through all that stuff, I used the downtime and songwriting as a therapeutic purge. I personally wrote like 14 songs over the break, and it was just like a vomit of all the stuff that I've been holding in. Brian, you were talking about the small things, holding those in. Those little small things grow and grow and grow and explode. The worst things that have ever happened to me were things that never actually happened. It's all stuff that I was like, what happened? The worst. It's never that bad. Never that
so
bad.
true.
So
so true.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we get in our heads, and the obsession happens. That happens to me with if I were to ever introduce drugs or alcohol, I'm going to get obsessed. I want to do that. Bass playing, it worked for me, thankfully, but that same obsession was driving. So it's a matter of where you decide to put that obsession, what you decide to obsess about, what you're going to water and give sunlight and allow that to grow. Whatever you do, anytime you put those things onto anything, it's going to grow, So the antidote for me was really just doing the big introspective work for me. Again, all the other stuff is symptoms of something else going on inside. So through therapy, see therapists once a week. Even while I'm out here on the road, I still do Zoom calls with her once a week. I got a supportive sober circle. Meet with those guys. I just got off them maybe 3 hours ago, a Zoom meeting there. So I stay close to friends with shared experiences and shared strengths as well. And something that everyone can do. This was a huge turning point for me. We were out on tour, and we had a sober coach out on the road with us. And I was having breakfast with him one day, and I was just like in this terrible mood, mad, really wearing it on my sleeve. And he's like, "What's wrong with you?" I was like, "Nothing." He goes, "It's all over your face. Tell me what's going on." And I was like, "Well, I was going through a divorce at that point." And I was like, "Yeah, I got a message from my wife as soon as I woke up. Then I got on Facebook and I got all mad." He goes, hold on. I'm going to stop you right here. And this has changed my entire perspective. First hour of the day, no phone. I don't pick up my phone at all. I could get triggered too easy. I could start off angry. If I get angry, I got to pull myself down. So I would much rather start off from the place of gratitude.
Smart.
So every day, I write out 10 brand new things that I'm grateful for. It started off as 5, and then someone else suggested going 10. So every single day, starting off my day right now, the gratitude list of 10 unique things each day. And then I share it with other friends that, I don't know, like I said, people that were going through some family stuff, giving those guys an opportunity to read that and hopefully lift their spirits. So, and other addicts that I'm in groups with and whatnot, just kind of sharing that word every day. And that's really, I've been working more on gratitude lists for those in the circle than the book these days. But it'll definitely come. Yeah.
Bro,
That's awesome, dude.
do you write
I,
it down with like a real pen or a phone? Oh wait, you're
I
off your
don't. I
phone,
do
so
it.
you have to write it. Okay,
I
hold
actually do.
on.
I do that part on my computer on notes.
Okay, because I'm like,
That's great.
who uses a pen in real life? But dude, I'm going to do that. What you're saying right now, because I wake up in a fog sometimes, and I go
That's
honestly,
great, dude.
dude, it's brilliant.
You
I'm going to
must.
start doing that, especially on the road. I'm going to do that.
It's
Yeah,
great. Yeah.
I think I
Give me a number,
saw that.
and I'll share mine with you too. That way you can we can share that.
That'd be
Those
awesome.
are great. Those are great tools, man. I think I want to say I saw on Jacoby from Pop Roach's Instagram the other day that he had written 10 things that he was grateful to, and he was starting to post it. So it's those steps that you take, and I know that he, Jacoby's sober, and he still goes through his stuff, and those are routines that we need. You know what I mean? Even for me, like Chris said, like man, I love listening to like mellow music in the morning. Whether it's kind of worship tunes or just mellow music, just to kind of set your head right. Like no one's gonna go and just throw heavy metal like on right. As soon as they wake up, that gets the brain going. You know what I mean? But yeah, but just I always like to say that just to be still. Just to be quiet and kind of put your day in perspective. But all those tools are beautiful, man.
And
And
it's
it's all
it's
stuff
it's
that was
just
shared with me that I'm happy to share with everybody else.
Yeah, yeah.
I was gonna tell you one thing that's helped me. I'm a couple months in right now into sobriety off of prescription pills that took me down a really dark road. And Brian knows a lot on my story, and I've shared it with my followers through spoken word poetry and things like that. But for a long time, I was known as the person that was trying to help people with mental health. And I have a piece called "Please Don't Kill Yourself" that went viral. But then I found myself a couple years later attempting to take my
Yeah.
own life. And I thought that was, so hypocritical that I became the person that doing the very thing I was trying to help people come out of. But prescription pills,
Mm.
it really took me down a dark road, and I lost touch with myself. And now being sober minded, I keep hearing this theme of just sobriety and being sober minded helps so much. But that whole thing you just said, Sonny, of being still.
Mm.
Scripture says, "Be still and know that I am God." It says, "Meditate on the Word day and night."
Yeah.
And I know that we see meditation as, we tie it in like with Eastern religion and things like that. But I've got this routine now, and I haven't missed one day since early March of working out every morning, cold shower, it kind of shocks my system. Reading the Word, prayer. But then, growing up in Indiana is like really in a really conservative church bubble. I would have never thought meditation would be something
Right.
that would be of any use or even be okay. You're like almost taught against these things. But
Yeah.
just meditating, doing breath work,
Heck yeah.
man, it's helped me so much just to be still and to be present. And I really sense that during those times I can sense the leading of the Lord in my life. And I think just the more you can be present, the better. It's helped me, certainly.
Yeah. It's how you define that word too, bro. I mean, people they define it a certain way and then they put it in a whole different light, and it's ridiculous. But that's the thing is, man, I was talking about this stuff. Chris said the same thing. Even seeing and having therapy and stuff, like most of us in our culture, even as men, and I mean, even with Chris, he's so big, tough, and strong. Why would he ever do that? Or we're so
Right.
yeah, we're so powerful. Like we can't even ask for directions, let alone mental things going on. So I think that's huge, and it is important that people keep talking about it because I think as men, we do hold so much stuff in when we should be talking like this. We should be honest. We should be vulnerable. And it's okay to say, hey, I'm not so strong at this,
Yeah.
or even, hey, dude, I'm weak at this, I have
Hmm.
strengths and I have weaknesses too, but I'm not embarrassed by it. Like none of us are perfect. And so, being here together, talking about it, we help each other. I mean, I tend to touch on it a lot, what I mean, without being so like, hey, this song is about suicide or whatever. But I tend to, I desire to speak life into a lot of our songs and lyrics. But so with that being said, even one of our most popular songs is called Alive, and that's and the lyrics are so straightforward, and it speaks for itself. You know what I mean? It's about being grateful, um, not taking this life for granted, and then wanting to be here. It is a choice. We've said this throughout this interview. We put ourselves in these dark places, especially creatives. We overthink a lot of things, or we think of them in 1,000 different ways, and sometimes you can take some wrong turns, and you really just end up battling a lot of these your own thoughts in your own head, and then like Brian had said, add drugs and alcohol on top of that. It just everything gets way out of whack. But it really is a choice of saying, I do want to live today. I do want to experience, the joy, the love that that I have with my friends, my family. There are a lot more beautiful things around me than there are negative things. And so, it's just deciding every day that I choose to see these things. I choose to be around these things. And then gradually we grow to see what we can handle in this life, and we can see the signs of, hey, I'm not going to go down this road. I'm not going to go down this road. And you tend to just have your guard up on certain things, and you stay away from certain stuff. But if you are really choosing to live, to be sober, to be happy, you kind of follow those roads that are going to take you personally. It's not always everybody. We said before, some people can have a beer and they're cool. It's nothing. That's not their problem. But all of us are wired different. I think it is just knowing, how we really are wired. So with all that being said, I think Alive is just being grateful for this time that we have here on this earth.
Speaking of gratitude, I'm grateful for the song "Alive" as well.
Yeah,
I know when that
brother.
song came out, it was a very dark time for a lot of people, very heavy
Yeah,
times, and there was so
yeah.
much talk about the timing, just how the universe guides
Right.
you. Here you go. This is what the world needs right now. And Sonny, you were right there with "Alive" for a lot of people during that
Oh
time, and
man.
continue to be as
Thank
well.
you, brother.
I'm
Thank you,
goosebumps
brother.
thinking about it, and I've seen it live since then, and every time it's one of those songs. So
Ah,
I too would
thank you,
recommend
brother.
"Alive" by POD as well. That was good. But then I was thinking about our stuff. We actually did a song called "Coming Down," and I don't know that the lyrics so much deal with that sort of thing, but the video certainly does. So I would encourage people to check out the video "Coming Down" by Five Finger Death Punch on all the platforms, YouTube and whatnot. And there's also a phone number at the end that you can call for help if you're going through anything. It's kind of crazy that if we need the cops, we got 911. But if we got mental
Right.
depression, you got what's the number again? There's no catchy number. We need to work on that.
Yeah.
Give
Yeah.
something easy to remember. But as far as songs and lyrical content, I would probably go with "Lift Me Up." I was just talking to Ivan, our lead singer, about this last night, and we always like to leave it open for interpretation. But that was a dark time that he was going through when he was writing his lyrics, and he was just like, lift me up above this, and
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
an inspirational song. And even if you don't like us, it's got Rob Halford from Judas Priest on there. Everybody loves Rob
That's awesome, dude.
Oh man. Oh hey, Brian's back.
Hey,
My bad.
look at that guy.
Yeah.
I'm so
Sorry.
sorry.
Yeah, so I don't do rock music like y'all, and not near as talented and gifted as you guys, but I operate in the spoken word realm, and a few years ago I wrote a piece called "Please Don't Kill Yourself," and then it went viral. And I mean, to this day, it's wild because the comments are there every day on YouTube, and they come in, and it's just sad because you see how, like, darkness is not a respecter of persons and statuses. You see people of all walks of life who are affected by these demons, and so I would say, please don't kill yourself. It's simple, and it's a message straight to the heart of people who are struggling. It's just pleading with them not to leave. There's hope for you, but then in the leaving, you're also leaving the pain, and you're just putting it on the people who are closest to you. So there's no winning with suicide. The pain goes on and it goes on and it goes on. So
Should have read the questions. I'd pick my song "Alive."
Yeah.
I mean, when I wrote the lyrics,
I already picked that one, man.
I so alive the very first time when I wrote it. Just like being alive for the first time. But I don't know. Shoot, man. Okay, falling away from me from Korn. Just that talks about this. Jonathan wrote those lyrics, articulating the struggle of just that fall. What we were talking about this whole conversation, man. And I always tell people, like, and I get to play with one of my favorite singers in the world is in my band, and so he really articulated his feelings in a powerful way back then. And Jonathan got sober before all of us. He was sober so long ago, and so yeah, I'll pick that song. Just talking about the struggle of the subject tonight. So
that's beautiful. Well, you're about to go perform that here in just a little bit, aren't you?
Yeah, I got 1 hour. People, my tour manager texted me while we were on. He's like, "Are you planning on working today?"
We got thousands of people waiting for you.
Right.
Awesome, man.
I mean, anybody out there that's struggling right now, I would tell you, fight with every single thing, every fiber in your body. Fight. Don't give up. Fight. And if that means grabbing hold of somebody next to you and telling them, "I'm drowning," grab a hold of somebody next to you and tell them, don't let the shadows swallow you, because there is light. And I personally believe that there is a God in heaven who sent his son Jesus Christ to die for us, and that anyone who calls upon his name, the name of the Lord, shall be saved. Man, there's so much more for you. There is life, there is hope, and the devil is a liar. Fear is a liar. Drown that stuff out and push forward. And if you're not going to do it for yourself, do it for the people around you who love you. I'm on the other side of the darkness, and I'm proof that I believe I'm proof that God is real, because he reached down and loved on a little lowly old me, and he could do the same thing for you. He loves you, and don't give up.
For sure, man. I think for people, that's just it. A lot of people don't believe that they're loved. You know what I mean? Or they believe that they've made so many mistakes and gone so far, into the darkness that there is no way out. But like you said, brother, I do believe that is a lie, from hell itself. I believe, being a man of faith, that God, he loves us. He loves you. And it is about fighting. It is about knowing your worth. Through my scriptures, I find my identity, in Jesus. I find my identity in God. And so that gives me, not only feeds me the truth, but it gives me the knowledge, and it gives me the desire to live. You know what I mean? If I'm believing the lies, and I'm listening to all the negative things around me, like, then you're not going to desire to live. But when I know God is saying, I love you, son. You know what I mean? I created you with a plan and with a purpose, and I have good things for your life. And it's not always perfect, but I'm with you wherever you go, even into the darkness. I'm with you. So I think people just need to know, their value, their worth, and discover who they are. And listen to the truth. And you just got to, again, put up your guard, man. There's a lot of things in this world that you might not even think is negative for you. It might take you out of your lane, but there is, man. It's a slippery slope. This is a slippery slope we walk in this world. You know what I mean? So when you do know that you're loved, Chris said this earlier. You might not have all the friends you think you want, but there are people that love you, and they care that you fight. They care that you make it to tomorrow. So if tomorrow seems or the future seems too far away, man, to just make it to tomorrow. The Bible says that joy comes in the morning. So if we remember that today kind of sucks, but I'm promised joy in the morning. So I'm gonna keep on rocking until for one more day. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, amen.
And I'll carry over to that joy in the morning. My morning routine is what gets me started mentally. The brain is also a muscle. Just like in the gym, if you stop working the biceps, that's going to go away. You can change the chemistry of the brain by focusing your thoughts on different things. And you have a choice. You can think this direction or you can think that direction. It's totally up to you. You alone decide whether you're miserable or whether you're happy. Nobody else can do that for you. That's all in here. So change your perspective and change your life. I'm the guy in the room that my spirituality is in the universe. I know when I went to rehab, and as soon as they started talking about God, just past resentments, I was like, oh, I'm not going to be able to do this. I'm not going to be able to do this. After I continued to dig in and get spiritual, I would say I'm more spiritual than religious, I guess. And I also know that what I'm calling the universe is what everybody else is calling God. I just listened to too much deicide when I was growing up, and I'm still stubborn. So yeah, just morning routine. I mean, I encourage everybody to continue to live, but take steps, take action to change your mind. You are in control. You can't control anything that happens to you. The one thing that you do have control over is your reaction to those things. You and you alone decide how to handle that. So you can look at it positively, you can look at it negatively, but I choose positivity in all things. And anybody that knows me and talks to me knows I'm. There was a girl at the Hard Rock when I used to work. She goes, "Oh, here it comes, Mr. Shit and Sunshine."
How come I haven't heard that before? That's a good one.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. Even Mr. Shit and Sunshine hit those dark, depressed levels.
Yeah.
And had to change the chemistry of the brain through a lot of inner work and dealing with problems rather than running away from stuff. That's another thing too. I had to learn how to do. Yeah. I think that's all I got. Yeah.
That's good stuff,
Beautiful,
brother.
man.